Oh, I just got recording in progress.
Yeah, got it.
Faye, thanks very much for agreeing to take us through your first trip. It just start. How many hours had you done when you went?
About 13, I think.
Okay, we want to hear.
Okay, so I shall share screen because although I'm not sure I've got much to say, I do have some nice pictures arranged in a lovely slideshow for you.
Wonderful.
So, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Oh, hang on, we haven't started at the beginning. I'm going to give it all away. Da, da, da. Okay. So, as we have discussed, my trip was to Algonodales, which is in Spain, flying to Malaga, I think. So it is not the first time I've been there because I did do my EP and CP in the same town with Fly Spain. As someone else just mentioned, they also did. So this is some pictures from my first trip though, where I got very bruised and very muscly from lugging my wing up the hill, the training hill. So luckily this was a much better trip. I went with Free Flight Academy, which is Lee Trihorn, as recommended by our very own Jerry. Lee was absolutely amazing, super passionate, so welcoming and lovely for one. So we stayed in his house with his little daughter and his wife and the two other people on the course. Well, one of them stayed in their camper van, but so it was like this lovely sort of family unit whilst you're staying there. And he was just, yeah, full of, he just sort of buzzed off your success. He really sort of fed off it, which is really encouraging. And sort of nothing was too big an ask. One day it was blown out in the town, and I think pretty much every other school or group called it, said we can't fly today, but he was like, we might as well try, and drove to a site really far away to just give us that opportunity. And we did get to fly there, so it was great. And he did a theory session one day that we actually couldn't fly, and just, you could tell he just loved talking about it so much, so it made it really, really interesting. Not that I can remember most of it, but he yeah, was just brilliant. I can't speak highly enough of him, and I recommend to anyone, and I'm sure at any level. So me being low air time, he was, yeah, gentle and understanding for that level, and you couldn't really even tell that he's this amazing paraglider because he's so modest. But I'm sure then if you go and you're brilliant, he will, yeah, be able to speak to that level just as well, because from what I know, he actually is an amazing paraglider, but he just sort of, yeah, speaks to you on the right level, is what I'm trying to say, I think. If anyone wants to ask any questions at any point, please shout out.
Okay, we will. Yeah.
So I thought I'd just take you through the sites that I flew, just with some photos, takeoff, landing, what my experience was like. And then if anyone else has flown these sites, which is probably likely, you could tell us your opinions too, if you wish. So takeoff at Montiano. This is where we first went, and actually probably did about 50% of our flights when I was there was at this site. It's quite close to town, so not a long drive to get to, and you could fly super late into the evenings there. For me, this was most similar flying experience to at home because it was mainly ridge soaring at this time of year. So it was September, so not many thermals really compared to how this site would be in the summer. I'm sure you could push right out, but for us it was mainly ridge soaring, but really floaty, easy air, just like the air we were talking about up here the other day. The takeoff is good. As you can see, it's, yeah, quite big. It did get busy with lots of pilots, but it's cool. It's like exciting to speak to people because there's pilots from all over the world. And with that, I guess there was different dangers in the air. People had different standards maybe of safety or distances, so you did have to be a bit careful. And there was, the school came here as well at some point, so you have to be a bit careful with that as well. But there's loads of space once you're up there, and it's beautiful, beautiful sight with amazing sunsets and lots of horses and just, yeah, beautiful scenery. Couple more pictures from the air. As you can see, it's big, stretching landscape. It's really fun to stand at the top of this site and you look across and you're kind of trying to find all the signs of what the air might be doing, like fires in the distance or something like that. I thought it was fun. What else? One thing that I found interesting here, because I'd not experienced this before in the UK, because of the sharp temperature drop in the evenings, so the face of the ridge would heat up in the day and then really, really quickly drop in the evening when it's hadn't had the sun on it, and that would make all the air rush down the face. And so when you're landing, the wind would be in the complete opposite direction than what you'd think. So it was coming off the hill. So that it didn't catch me out because there was a windsock, but I was like, what is going on there when I first saw that? And then Lee explained to me why. There can be a frustrating site because there was a stronger day there. Well, it was frustrating for me on my wing because there's another takeoff which is further down the hill. I don't know if you can see it. No, another takeoff which is further down. So if you can see my mouse, I don't know if you can. It's around here, where you take off and it's stronger, and then you can climb up onto the higher ridge, which is great, fine and dandy. You can get off, no problem there. But as soon as you're in the air, it's a lot stronger. And then on my wing, which is a very sturdy A wing, if I'd climbed up onto the top of the ridge, I would have been blown back over the top and into the rotor and off into the horses' fields that I just told you about. So on the nippier wings, people could do that, but I was kind of stuck on the lower ridge, feeling frustrated. But at least you can still get off there in the stronger winds. So yeah, an advantage, I'm sure.
It does feel like the UK, that site, doesn't it, a little bit?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
I'm glad you say that, Jerry. Oh, and then this on the left is the landing field. Super easy, big, lovely, can't go wrong. A guy called Pepe, who I'm sure if you've been, you'll know, has his landing bar, which is like basically his truck with some speakers and beer in. And so it's just, yeah, great atmosphere because you've been up there for a wonderful sunset flight, for example, and then you land. Oh, and yeah, all the pilots from around the world all talking. It's, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, that is UK scale, isn't it? By the looks of things.
The difference, I guess, from the UK is this stretch. It doesn't look that long there, but you land quite far out from the hill. Whereas if this was like a coastal site, obviously you wouldn't be doing so.
Yeah.
So you have okay, yeah, you sort of. I got a bit tense, kind of coming into landing because you're like, oh, am I going to make it? And it's different to try to judge where you're going to land because you're not going straight down like you would if it was a coastal site. You've got to go over the horses and the bonfires and whatever's going on here. Okay, anyone else phone here that wants to say anything?
No, you've been there, Jerry, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, one of the. I think you can just see it on that the left-hand picture. There's a castle.
Yeah.
There's there. Yeah, there's a castle there. And I think one of the tasks is to go and fly around that castle and come back. But it's a lovely site. And Faye's right. All the landings are miles away from the launch. So I think I can't remember anyone where you would really want to top land. You take off and fly around, and then you've got normally a lovely long glide down to some speck in the distance.
Yeah, I've saw people top land there, but there's no need to because you get to lift back up, and you've been in the air for so long. It's not like you're sort of touch and go constantly.
So
when I was there,
sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
Oh, when I was there, it was really busy on launch. It's quite a popular site. It's quite a small launch, isn't it? It's quite narrow. And someone took off, and then they pulled their reserve by accident entirely, and they came down in the bushes behind. And they were completely fine. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I guess for people that are thinking about going and possibly find it, don't know what to expect kind of thing, it is daunting on takeoffs when there's so many people there and there's one bit where you can actually leave the hill, but there's lots of people waiting. It is daunting, but you just got to try and shut that out. And if you're with someone like Lee, for example, he will deal with the people for you. He will not let anyone give you any nonsense. And yeah, so it's a bit scary, but you'll get used to it, and you just got to try and find that zone, look at the distance. But I understand if people would feel pressure there, because I did.
Yeah, it's a very important point, and it is something to get used to. Were you just free flying, or was Lee suggesting you do an exercise or fly somewhere or whatever?
So flew the first time. I think he just let me have a fly the first time, got an idea of what I was doing, that kind of thing. And then as we went on, he would give exercises a little bit, but for me, it was probably just to, just to enjoy the flying and get some airtime. But then if he saw something, he would say, work on this for the next time, and explain it to me. And a couple of these things were pitch control, which I was not aware of. So in the kind of family, the wing was sort of, as you go in and out of the bubbles, sort of the front sort of dive. Someone else can explain this better than me, I'm sure. Can dive and go backwards above your head and go forwards. And he taught me how to stabilize the wing at the right time to keep it directly above your head, and then how that is beneficial so that you're not losing the air and you're staying steady in the air. And he said it's kind of, think of it like you're sort of a pendulum hanging beneath the wing, and you have to keep it at 12 o'clock the whole time. And he taught me sort of when to look up and when to pull the controls. It all made sense when he said it.
Lee is a master of saying the one thing you need to hear, and only that one thing, isn't he? He doesn't give you loads and loads of information. He just says, watches you fly, and then he goes, do that. And he talks you through it, and then that makes a difference. And he doesn't really overload you. He's a really, really good instructor.
Yeah.
As Faye says, at all levels, all levels. And then you're flying with him, and he does these tricks in the air. You think, oh, bloody hell.
But you wouldn't know it if he was just talking to a layman like me, because he completely just gets on your level and so modest.
He's a very nice guy. Yeah.
Okay. Next site we flew was Lucena. So this is the one where I mentioned it was a longer drive out. We were the only people there because all the other schools had called it. It's not an amazing site compared to the others, or at least in these conditions it wasn't, but it was still, we had a few hours in the air, and yeah, so that's a win, isn't it? So I have a flight track from this one. Well, a little bit, because Lee lent me his fancy Faye. The launch in the photo, you can see, go back.
Wow, that's lovely.
It's super, super steep. So this isn't a cliff. You're not launching here. You're launching just down there on a very steep, rubbly bit. But the launch was fine for me. Some people have problems. It was quite a light day. It's sort, you had to choose the right moment, else you sort of dropped into the bushes below launch. But that was fine, I think. So yeah, it's quite a small hill. There was some good thermals, well, some just about that you could catch, but no one could really stay up for very long here, because it was quite light. To do a next picture. So it got a bit cloudy.
Faye, sorry, was that your first XC?
No XCing here, I don't think.
Oh, you just went along the ridge a bit.
Yeah. So I pushed out, and you come back in, push out. But I know I didn't do an A to B. You just landed in the landing field at the bottom of this hill here,
Okay.
which, I mean, that's probably 10 minutes drive around the hill to get up there, to give you some idea of scale.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a bit light, and then it got a bit cloudy, and we kind of just needed the clouds to part more in the afternoon to heat up the ground a bit, but it never really happened. But all good nonetheless. It was really fun on this site to kind of be looking out and trying to predict where thermals might be forming, where they might be triggered from. So just talking about all the different fields and just the right level of brownness, not too dark, not too light apparently, and trees and buildings, and just chatting about that kind of stuff is really interesting. So I have made some very, very bad notes, but the writing is so rubbish I can't really read them. Yeah, I think I said most of that. So this is from the landing field looking up. As it says, there's a big Christ statue on the top, and it's looking in the opposite direction. Lee told us that it used to be looking in this direction, but he couldn't bear looking at the Germans flying anymore. Apparently.
Yep, that's the Lee story.
Yeah, that's that for Lucena. Has anyone ever flown there or anything about that one?
That's all new to me.
Jerry, did you?
No, I didn't fly there.
Okay, and then the final one is the absolute best, and absolutely where I think everyone wants to go if they go to Algo. It's Leha, which is the mountain that you see from the town. So it's big mountain, and you're in the town and you're looking up and you can see all these people flying super high. So it's right next to the town, but maybe you take some hours to drive up it because it's big.
Can you remember how high it is?
I cannot remember how high it is, I'm afraid, but I'm sure we can find out.
Which way does this look, Faye? Which direction are you looking in? North, south? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
That way.
Sorry.
That way, yeah, okay.
No, I don't know, I'm afraid. Well, this is sunset.
It must be southeast. Well, if that's sunset, then the sun's there, so it must be south.
But there is a takeoff on two directions. So this direction and whatever is
around the corner.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So takeoff is big, super busy when it was working really well. And yeah, people struggling here and there, so it kind of freaks you out, but you just got to be focused, I suppose. It's got the AstroTurf, which was very professional and new to me. But yeah, there is two different faces depending on where the wind's coming from. This peak here, I saw pilots push through on one of the days, so had my very, very, very best flight ever. It was absolutely amazing, up to about 2K. And that was proper, like actual proper thermaling, round and round and round, all the way up. And it was just, yeah, so brilliant. You could feel the sort of complete temperature drop at one level. And that was when we were kind of face to face with the vultures and just all the flights up this mountain, actually. I was using the vultures, chasing them around to go and follow their lead, sort of thing. And that was my most fun bit of all of it. I loved it. Yeah, so busy, but so huge that once you're up there, it was fine. And then on this day, the people did push out to this peak here, if you can see the mouse. I didn't go all that way because I'm not so brave, but I went to about halfway, and there's another ridge there. This wasn't my very best flight. I didn't have the flight tracker for my very first flight, as is the way. But pardon?
I think we just got some crosstalk.
Okay. So this is takeoff. You've got this amazing lake. It's all just beautiful. A big old hang glider wing is the windsock, which is cool.
I remember that.
So what height did you get to, Faye?
I think about 2K.
Okay. And what was your previous highest?
Oh, I've no idea. I don't have any instruments, unfortunately.
Okay,
Richard.
okay. Yeah.
But this felt higher. This is the
I
first time that I felt the layer where I went through and just went freezing cold.
yeah. Yeah.
It was super high. I loved it.
Yeah, it just so happens one of those flights I remember was the first time I went pretty high, 4,000 or 5,000 feet, something like that. And that was Bulgaria. And I don't think I'd been higher than maybe 1,000 feet before. And I suddenly thought, oh, this is high.
Yeah.
And that's this, and used to be a skydiver. I'm used to coming out of a plane at 13,500 feet.
Yeah.
It's different in a paraglider.
So Faye, this is the hill just above Algo. So isn't that Levante?
This one is called Liha. I don't know if maybe there's another.
I recognise the view, those huts. I'm sure I launched from there when I was doing my CP. We were like up there almost every day. It must be just around the corner or something.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, I'm afraid. Maybe I've got the name wrong. Who knows?
No, it's an awesome spot. It's the only one I recognise. But
yeah,
that lake definitely stands out for me.
Yeah, it's like
so high there. Got nowhere near that. It literally would take off, practice, and then land very quickly.
Oh, it was brilliant. I got lucky on the day. You just keep going up. It was amazing. This is a better view of that bit. I said people, so they were pushed out to there and then they went off again cross country. I went to this one. I haven't played around here.
That's fine. That's cross country.
Yeah.
James, sorry, Faye.
Yeah.
At what stage did you do your trip to Algo, James?
That was my. It was with Fly Spain. No, Zero Gravity. Sorry, Zero Gravity, and it was for my CP training. So I spent a week out there.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, we went up in the morning and evening. Went to a Ronda. Was the other place I went to a lot. But I don't recognise any of these places. Didn't realise just so many different sites to fly around Algo.
Yeah, definitely. The wind stayed quite similar direction, which I don't know for the whole trip, which is why I only went to these three. But during CP, there's other sites that I saw as well, which are just gorgeous. Like El Bosque is probably another really famous one. It's just stunning. So really recommend the place for sure. Anyone else want to talk about this one? Which may be called Liha or Levante?
Jerry, you've been there. You did the flight to Ronda, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think we took off from here. No, we didn't take off from here. We didn't take off from this one. We took off from the other one. But yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think I took off from the other side. Is Ronda ahead of this one, Faye? Is it behind those peaks?
Yeah, I know people were trying to get to Ronda from here.
Yeah. So I took off from the other side and then went downwind, round the lake over those peaks, and then Ronda's on the other side. Yeah, it's just lovely. It's really like you. I think we had this inversion when I was there, inversion layer, and then we managed on one day the inversion starts to break down, so we managed to puncture through it, and then that was just like being squirted up into the sky like in a lava lamp. It was incredible. Just went up and 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 up. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So yeah, it's lovely. And then we got around the corner and the wind was really picking up. So yeah, so we had to land. But yeah, it's very nice.
The landing field here, super easy. Again, all of the landings were lovely and we checked them all out beforehand, so no concerns. Lee had us although it's massive, choosing a spot to land in, but you had this whole space. This is from the landing field up. You can see quite a few pilots, but nothing to worry about. When it was strong, we played on the mini wing, practicing, which I guess is really, really helpful. Well, I'm sure it's really helpful. Practicing with our sort of eyes closed or walking it from place to place, for example. Yeah, Lee kept us busy, even if it wasn't quite right to fly. And so, but yeah, basically, hang on. Did you have
the big
my
moment.
video to inspire you?
Oh yeah.
Lovely.
Whee.
So how many hours that you got to there, Faye?
Oh, I don't know. So obviously I was over 10 when I went, but I wasn't comfortable to remove it.
Yeah.
And by the end of the trip, I was probably more like 23, I think, probably about 10 hours on the trip over 5 days.
A big moment then.
But
A big moment.
yeah, well, Lee was like, you could have taken, you're flying better than half the people up on that first flight straight away. So he just gave me the confidence, and yeah, I felt happy to, so it's good. And that is the end of the talk. Just to say that since coming back, it's been, just changed my thinking with regards to my confidence and how I'm looking at what's around me. Sort of, I could sort of thinking more where the air's coming from, where I'm going to get lift. I've been happier sort of rocking up on my own and taking off without any help or worrying. But ask people, I'm checking the conditions myself, and I highly recommend it all round.
Okay. Thank you for that, Faye. Has anybody got any questions of Faye?
I was just going to say it looks really nice, and apologies for coming in late. We're actually off, 5 of us, to Algo Sunday week for a week.
Wonderful time, Viv. You will love it.
Yeah, we've not been to Algo. We've been to Hotel California, but when Leicester? When did we go there? About 15 years ago, something like that.
Yeah,
and we haven't been back to Spain
2004, I think.
2004, yeah. Leicester was flying a Bolero then, I think. Was it then?
Yeah, first year I went with the Bolero, and then when I had an Airwaves Sport after that.
Right, so it was really nice. So how do you rate flying abroad then, Faye? Now you're actually a pilot as opposed to a trainee.
I guess it's nice just to be able to get the frequency and the hours. That is very, very nice, and does wonders for your capabilities, I'm sure, just to be able to practice. It's really fun thermaling. Vultures are extra fun. You don't get them here, but I mean, seagulls are good too.
What are the main differences, would you say, flying abroad and flying at home? Not that you've done a whole proper summer yet, have you? Not here.
Main differences, not so cold. Just I don't know. I know that people such as yourself, Viv, do great thermaling in the UK and have more interesting sites like Dartmoor, for example, where the air is a bit more higgledy-piggledy. But what I've been doing in the UK was mainly coastal ridge soaring, which is quite linear, and you do the same thing. But in Algo, even though it was September, so the thermals were a lot less than they would have been, it was like a good introduction to being able to do that rather than so you're just kind of looking at everything differently, I thought, rather than one straight cliff and you just go up and down, you know, that just looking for where the air might come and go and what you think it might do.
Feels like a bigger sky, I guess.
How did you cope with the traffic, all the pilots? Were you happy sort of thermaling with people?
Pardon?
Were you happy thermaling with other pilots?
It wasn't that bad in September at all. There was only one time when after an hour or so I just chose to leave the sky because I'd had a great flight and people started being annoying and too busy. And I thought, well, I'm out of here.
Was it a booked, like an advertised holiday, or did you contact him and the people you went with? Did you know the other people or at all? Or
no, so I wanted to go on a trip, wouldn't have really known, maybe would have gone with Fly Spain, who I did my training with. I would much recommend going with Lee over other people, shall we say. But he was recommended to me by Jerry. Completely different experience, way more personal, learnt way more. I didn't know people and they were lovely, really supportive, and different. It didn't matter so much. Don't worry about different people having different levels, especially in a smaller group. It doesn't impact. They work, like Lee was able to work it out so that I wasn't holding anyone back, or yeah, vice versa. I don't know. It was something for everyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know that I was worried about that. So
Yeah, not to be. I don't want to be Lee's spokesman or salesperson here, but what he does is, because I've been on a few trips with him now, and I'm going on a couple more this year. He posts them on his website on Free Flight Academy, and he has them. So he does a post CP course, and then he does various, like he does that in Morocco. Then he does some XC courses, and he does SIV as well. And so I'm going to Colombia with him in a few days, and then he goes to South Africa and he does SIV in Turkey as well. So you just look on their website and he has all the trips that he's going to do, and then he's got a house as faces he lives in Algo, so he runs a load of weeks there.
But I think on any trips like this, there's no need to worry if you decide to take off on your own. I'm certainly everything I've done, not just with paragliding, it's same with skydiving and presumably other things as well. Everybody's in exactly the same boat and with the same spirit and the same thoughts and the same concerns and everything else. So you undoubtedly make friends, and pretty damn quickly as well. And of course, you're always going to finish up having a beer somewhere. So that helps a lot. So I certainly wouldn't hesitate if you suddenly got a week or whatever, go.
Yeah.
And
Faye's right. Lee's very friendly, and he sort of kind of encourages you to just go off and say, if you go off, I'll come and find you wherever you end up. And he's like, yeah, well done, wherever you end up strewn. So, and that's half the fun, isn't it? Is going to retrieve people in down ditches and things like that you really can't get a car down.
Yeah, he loves it. And then if I was the closest, I'd jump in with him and we'd go off and hunt the next person. And there's people hitchhiking on the side of the roads with their wings where they've landed, and it's just fun.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions for Faye, or anybody wants to bring anything else up?
Did Faye, can I just ask, if you went again, did Lee say there was a better time of year to go than September, a more productive time, or better?
He didn't say that, but I think that September's sort of pushing it. My dog's waking up. September's sort of pushing it with regards to being, it's just end of season, I would say. But then in the very height of summer, you want to be more confident to be able to handle the thermals, and you wouldn't be able to fly in the middle of the day, regardless of how confident you are, I don't think, because it'd just be too much. So probably somewhere in between, like before September, but late summer, I think is probably the best. Is that right, Jerry?
Yeah. I think in a lot of places you shouldn't fly there in the summer. Mount at the Alps and Algo, it's too hot and it's too violent. So it bookends the summer to the start of the season, and the end of it, I think it's where it's slightly more mellow. But if you look, and again, if it is Lee, you look on his site, he won't be in Algo, then he'll be somewhere like in Morocco or somewhere else where it's more sensible to fly at that time of year.
I was certainly with Bulgaria, been there at various times, and the season does definitely drop off at either end, but May through into early June and then into September are very nice times to go. You can get some good thermaling, and at times even then you can get some pretty pokey thermals, but generally it's sort of nice, I don't know, 2-3 meters, 4 meters a second maybe.
Yeah, 6 meters a second I went at one point. That's a good point, Richard.
That is a quick thermal. My record is 7 on an averager, but 6 meters, I mean, that's damn near 15 miles an hour going up. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much indeed, Faye. That was really enjoyable and good fun, and thank you for being prepared to do it. Yeah, a little ripple.
Oh, thank you.
So if Jerry's off to Colombia, then we've got another Zoom talk coming up in a few weeks' time then, have we, Jerry?